Hello and welcome back to the Encryption Edge, where we explore the world of cybersecurity, digital trust, and the ever-evolving landscape of digital security. Today, I'm going to take you on a journey through a major shift in the digital world of certificates. Before we dive in, let's be clear on something that you may not be familiar with: a certificate. It's essentially a digital ID card for websites and services. It's a file that provides the identity of the website, encrypts data, and ensures that secure communication between your browser and the site you're visiting. Think of it as an online equivalent of a passport. It verifies who you're talking to and who you are, and makes sure that the information stays safe. Today, I want to take you on a journey that starts with sort of a wake up call. It leads to a new approach in how we manage certificates, an approach that will reshape the security practices for years to come. In 2025, there has been a comfortability in managing certificates with the typical 390-day lifespan, or maybe you're pushing for that 90-day lifespan that Apple initially introduced and wanted to try to push for. You set up your renewal schedules, you've gone through your workflow, and you've gotten it down. But you're just as you're getting comfortable, the digital world kind of shifts under your feet like it kind of always does. In March 2023, Google made a bold move in proposing the reduction in the maximum certificate lifespan to about 90 days. And while the industry was preparing for that change, in October 2024, Apple kind of threw a curveball: a proposal to cut certificate lifespans down to just 45 days by 2027. Starting with the phased approach, first certificates will be reduced to 200 days in 2025, then to 100 days in 2026, and finally reaching 45 days by September 2027. This is no longer a theoretical change, it's happening. It's not just about the technical shift, it's about redefining how we think about trust, security, and risk management in the digital world. It's about making sure that all of the certificates that we have for our websites and online traffic are being managed properly and are not susceptible to intrusions and people decrypting that data quick enough. Now, let's take a moment to consider the implications of what's coming. For years, certificates have been the pillar of online security and will continue to do so, but their lifespans have been a balancing act between convenience and risk. But as attacks evolve, our defenses must too. With a reduction to 200 days in 2025, we're stepping into the new world of certificate management, and it might feel like a subtle shift compared to the more drastic 45-day target in 2027, but it's kind of a wake up call to the industry, making kind of people move towards that 45-day certs and not just go from the 398 straight to the 45. It's kind of a transition period to that more drastic change that they want to make. These changes are going to push us more towards frequent renewals and tighter security protocols, as well as a higher workload for all those people. For organizations relying on manual certificate management, this upcoming shift is going to feel really overwhelming. But there's sort of a silver lining. If you're ready to embrace the future, you can get ahead of the game and build systems that will essentially be managing those 45-day certs for you when they arrive. Now let's talk about what this change means for your day-to-day work. Picture this: you're managing hundreds of certificates, maybe even thousands, and some are expiring in 30, 60, or 90 days, but with the upcoming reduction to 200 days, you suddenly have a lot more renewals to keep track of, a lot more dates to keep track of if you're doing all of that manually. And in 2027, when the window shrinks to 45 days, it's going to feel like a never-ending cycle. You're going to be renewing certificates all the time, and it's just going to be a whole lot of workload for people that have been managing certificates otherwise. The pressure kind of mounts quickly, and more often certificates need renewal, the higher risk of human error, missing a deadline or failing to update the certificate in time, or overlooking a critical system. This is where manual management becomes not only inefficient, it becomes dangerous for organizations and kind of making them susceptible to compliance issues as well as outages. But just try to imagine tracking thousands of certificates manually every 45 days. It's going to be a logistical nightmare, and it's going to cause a lot of issues for organizations that aren't preparing for it sooner versus later. It's not just risk of failure, considering the compliance and regulatory implications. If you're in a regulated industry like healthcare, finance, government, you're going to need to demonstrate that your certificate management process is airtight. Missing a renewal deadline doesn't just cost you time, it costs compliance certifications, and it costs a lot of money for outages and not just that, it causes your customers to lose trust in your company if you have an outage and they're losing sensitive data because of it. So, how do you avoid falling into the trap of certificate chaos? The answer is kind of simple in concept, but it's going to be sort of a process in implementing it and something that's expensive, but it's going to prepare you for these upcoming certs and is going to be cost efficient in the long run. It's going to allow you to get ROI a lot quicker with a solution, with a CLM solution, because spend the money now and avoid the fees, which are going to be way more than the cost of implementation later on. This is where technology kind of steps in to be the hero of this story. If you've been relying on spreadsheets and basic monitoring tools to track certificates, now is kind of the time to switch gears. Automation is really the only way moving forward when it comes to the 45-day certs, because it's just going to be way too high of a workload to manage by yourself, and relying on automation is going to be really important to making sure that all of those certificates are being rotated and everything is being put within a system that's going to allow for compliance regulations. A proper certificate lifecycle management solution is going to help you manage the entire certificate lifecycle from generation to renewal to deployment. It's going to have everything there so you don't have to do those manual tasks, and it's going to not only save you time, but it's going to save you money in the long run. From generation to renewal, with the right setup, your system will integrate seamlessly with the existing infrastructure, giving you real-time visibility into the status of your certificates and can send alerts when certificates are approaching expiration, as well as automatically renewing and deploying certificates without any manual intervention. And that's going to help with these 45-day certs coming up. This means that instead of scrambling to track your hundreds or thousands of certificates, the system will do it for you. Once you set it up, it will manage and renew, deploy, and monitor all of your certificates in one spot, and you'll have all of the information there at your hands. So now that you're convinced in automation and that it's the way to go, where do you kind of start? I mean, like, what is the process of this automation, and how do I prepare for this as a company that is managing hundreds or thousands of certificates? Well, the first thing to do is take inventory. Do you know exactly how many certificates are in your environment, where they are, or where they're being used, and who's responsible for them? If not, you need to get a clarity in that way. You need to make sure you understand how many certificates you have, how many you're creating. And for many organizations, certificates are kind of scattered across different environments, either cloud, on-prem, or hybrid. And without proper visibility, it's impossible to manage them effectively. The next step is to identify any gaps within your system. If your current system is automated, if it's manually tracking certificates or relying on spreadsheets, now is kind of the time to upgrade those things and figure out where those downfalls are and fix those within your system. A full-scale CLM solution can eliminate these gaps and streamline all of your processes. The next is to embrace automation, like I talked about. Automation is going to be really important for having certificates with such low lifespans. And certificates will become more frequent and renewals will become more frequent. So by automating your certificate lifecycle, you'll not only keep your system compliant, but also ensure that you are staying secure within your systems. Automation is going to help reduce human error as well. It's going to keep you on top of renewal and save you time, allowing for more focus on critical security tasks. We want to try to avoid human error whenever we can. If you're managing those certificates manually, there's a lot of room for human error. But with things like automation or certificate lifecycle management, it's going to allow you to avoid a lot of those issues, as well as, pulling the workload off of the people that are manually taking care of those certificates as of now. Now, the next step is integration. A good CLM solution doesn't just manage your certificates, it integrates with your broader security ecosystem. So whether it's DNS or security monitoring or identifying management systems, making sure that you're integrating with different platforms to make sure that all of your certificates within different environments like on cloud or on-prem or hybrid are being managed properly, and making sure that your overall security architecture is, free of those gaps that we identified before. As we move towards the 200-day certificates that will begin in 2025 and eventually the 45-day certs in 2027, one thing is kind of clear. Certificate management is becoming sort of a high-stakes game, and for me, 2027 seems like it's so far away and we have time. But I always think about, COVID was back in 2020, which was 5 years ago. And for me, that kind of feels like yesterday. So it's easy to feel like you have a lot of time, but it's also equally important to understand that preparing early is really important for securing your systems and making sure that you're not costing your company money later on. Um, you can wait until the clock runs out and scramble to manage your certificates manually, or taking the proactive step and the right steps to automate and prepare for the future are going to be kind of the right way to go and important for the future. You don't want to have to get into a situation where the deadline for 200, 100, or the 45-day certs comes and you're not prepared and you have to scramble and you are breaking compliance, and now you're sort of in this panic state where your certificates are not being properly managed and you don't know who they're being managed by. So making sure that you're embracing sort of the future for certificate management is going to be important for these upcoming dates. But kind of the real question is, are you ready for this acceleration? Because soon the days of setting and forgetting your certificates will be kind of over. But the good news about it is that certificate lifecycle management and the right tools, strategies, and mindset can keep you ahead of the curve and actually make your life easier when it comes to certificate management. It's important to staying compliant and operational within your business, and all of those manual tasks that you're doing now are going to become a lot easier because they're going to be automated and tracked and managed. So you're going to be able to, renew and make sure that all the lifespans are being managed properly, because they're becoming shorter and shorter as the days go on. And by 2027, we're going to be preparing for PQC, and the shorter lifespans are going to be something to deal with. So making sure that you have somebody behind you that is managing the certificates for you and even providing PQC services is going to be really important for the future. And that's about it for today's episode. Thank you guys for joining me. If you guys have any topic suggestions or things you would like for me to talk about, please let me know at info@encryptionconsulting.com, or give us a comment if you're over there on YouTube. If you're looking for more information, including the upcoming 200-day certs or the 45-day cert deadline, don't forget to check out some of our resources on encryptionconsulting.com if you're interested. Until next time, stay secure, stay automated, and keep those certs in check.